Welcome back to the cutting board. Today we're going to learn how to make a stuffed pepper. In this case, mini stuffed peppers that we're going to stuff with a tofu mushroom filling with peas as well. So we're going to multitask at the same time. We're going to do two things. We're going to be working over here. We're going to turn this on to a medium to high heat. We're going to add about a tablespoon, depends what you like, tablespoon of olive oil, and we're going to put in one onion, one medium-sized onion, not too large, not too small. And that onion, we're going to let it kind of sweat in here. It's going to go for about 2-3 minutes till it's translucent. We're going to mix it every now and then as well. These onions are going to release moisture as they do this, and that moisture is going to be part of our filling, which is why while this is doing its thing over here, we're going to move back over here to our bowl. We've got 1 cup of super firm tofu. Now, the reason I'm using super firm is tofu naturally releases water as you're cooking it. And in the stuffed pepper, you don't want to have too much liquid. It's all just going to come right out while you're baking it. So we've got 1 cup here of super firm tofu. If you're going to use a softer tofu, then you're probably going to want to add breadcrumbs or something like that into the mixture here. But since we're using a super firm tofu, we don't need to do that. Now we've also got 1 cup of mushrooms, so equal portion of tofu and mushrooms. Now you'll notice I have a little bit more mushrooms over here. We're going to be cooking those down. Mushrooms do the same thing like the tofu. They release moisture during the cooking process. So we want to be careful that we don't overdo it with these ingredients, because otherwise you're just going to get a lot of runny filling, which is just going to come out of the pepper. That's not what we're trying to do here. So we're going to mix that up. Come over here, check on this. They're starting to do their work here. We don't want to set it too high because our point here is not to burn it. All we're trying to do is get these onions to start releasing that flavor. So it depends on what kind of person you are. You might be one of those people who has to run away because the onions get you. I guess I'm blessed in the sense that onions don't seem to bother my eyes that much. But we're starting to get that process going here. We're not going to get it to the point of caramelizing. We just need it to get a little bit translucent. So we're back over here. We're going to add in a cup of peas. So basically a cup, a cup, a cup. It's really easy to remember. Now these are frozen peas. I don't suggest that you use canned peas because canned peas have a tendency to get really brown during the canning process, and it will just totally change how that pepper looks. So frozen peas are going to be your much better option. So we're going to mix that in as well while we're multitasking over here. And at this point, we're going to add just a pinch of salt to this. Now, one of the things that we sometimes forget while we're cooking is that real restaurant meals, they usually season as they cook. They don't just season once. So they season a little bit, and then they're seasoning to taste as they go. And that's what we're going to try to do here as well. So now these guys are, they've started caramelizing. So at this point, we're going to turn the heat down just a little bit, get that down to medium, mix that up a little bit. And then we've got 3 small cloves of garlic, which I'm putting into a garlic press. And I'm going to just go ahead and get that in here. All right. Now we've got the garlic in there. That garlic smell is going to hit you right away as soon as it hits the pan. So now we've got this. I can already smell the garlic. I love that. Then we're going to take a ½ cup. So we put a cup of mushroom in here. We're going to take a ½ cup of mushroom, and we're going to add that here. So now we're not going to put this in here for very long, just a little bit. You're going to see the mushrooms start to release the liquid in them. Back over here now. We're going to take a quarter teaspoon of seasoning. In this case, our version of chicken seasoning. You can get the recipe for it right here. We're going to put that in here. So we're still seasoning as we go. All right. Mix that once more. And then we're over here to do just one last thing because these are pretty much ready. All right, so just this last thing, seasoning as we go. We're gonna add a pinch of salt over here as well. And we're gonna put just a very little bit of turmeric in here as well. Now, turmeric does have a flavor. A lot of times people think that they add it to foods just for color, to give them a yellow color. Like if you're making a scrambled tofu, you'll put turmeric in there to make it look like eggs, yellow eggs. But turmeric actually has a really nice flavor that complements very well with mushrooms. So that's why we're putting that in here. So this is now done, and we're ready to add this to our mixture, our stuffing for the pepper. All right. Get the oven turned off, stove, excuse me. That over there. So we're gonna mix this in. Get all those flavors to marry. Now, as it cooks, the onions that you didn't release the flavor from in the pan, they're gonna start cooking, the mushrooms that you didn't release the flavor of in the pan, they're gonna cook while this is in the oven. So they're still gonna be releasing, but it's a little bit different and you'll get both textures in the same dish. And we're gonna add one final ingredient here. That final ingredient is thyme. Not much, just a little bit. We want to get some of that flavor from the herbs in there. So if you're measuring it, it'd probably be at a 1/4 teaspoon or so. Nothing big. Just enough so that you get that aroma and a little bit of the flavor from the thyme in there. So you've got this really vibrant looking, very color rich filling that you're gonna use for your peppers. So what I've done for the peppers themselves is I've gone ahead and I've cleaned them out, taken off the top, gone in, made sure all the seeds were out there and as much of the veins as possible without actually cutting off the top. So you don't wanna take a knife and cut off the top because when you fill them, everything's just gonna come right out. So basically you're cutting around the green part that's on top, you're pulling it out and then you're going in and just taking out everything that's left. You shake it out, the seeds come out and it's empty inside, but it's still got a bit of that bend in the pepper to keep things inside. So you got this pepper. I have enough peppers to fill this tray here. I'm gonna go ahead and spray that with some cooking spray just to make sure that they're not gonna stick to the bottom. And then I'm going to take a small teaspoon and start slowly filling each one. Now, it's gonna take a little bit of time, but you just keep working it in, get it over the dish because a lot of it's gonna fall out as you're doing it, but you keep going, you're filling it. Now, you wanna get it to the top, but not all the way to the top. So you wanna make sure that you've got at least a little bit of space on the top because as this pepper cooks in the oven, it's gonna release liquid here. It's gonna expand what's inside and that filling is gonna start to come out. And that's fine if it comes out a little bit because that's gonna brown in the oven. But if you stuff it all the way to the top, it's gonna start spilling right away and it's not gonna be the same. So you wanna fill it, but you wanna make sure that you're doing so in such a way that you've still got a little bit of space at the top. And we're gonna do that with all these peppers to fill up this tray. So now we've stuffed the peppers. Like I said, each one is stuffed, but not completely. We've left that little bit of space. They're gonna go into the oven. The oven has been preset to 350 degrees, and they're gonna go in there for 18 to 22 minutes. At 18 minutes, you wanna check and see if the peppers are cooked. And you'll see it because they're gonna start to wilt and get a little bit of browning, especially on this side where you did the stuffing. And that's how you'll know they're ready to eat. So you've got your dish finished, your peppers are ready to go. You're gonna get a really sweet flavor from the peas. You're gonna get that tofu, which marries all the other flavors that you put in there. And the peppers themselves, when they cook, release an amazing flavor. This dish goes really well with potato dishes, rice dishes, anything like that that you want to add another side element to. It's going to be a really, really wonderful complement. Exactly those flavors that we were looking for. Join us again on the cutting board for more great plant-based recipes.